maybe I'm the kid that likes auto mechanics. I like taking engines apart. Well, in traditional high school, there are a lot of kids that they may not like that.
Yeah.
They may like football better. They may like being in the band. They may like whatever better. So the kid that likes auto mechanics, all of a sudden he's like, am I strange because I like doing this?
Yeah.
But then they get with us and they're in the lab with 25 other kids who I like taking engines apart. And I like hearing that roar of the engine. And they find out I've got other people who like that. I've got an instructor who likes that. And you can see that light turn on in their eyes. And they are so excited about what they're doing. They're passionate about what they're doing. And they realize I'm not odd at all. And I just like something different. Some like football, some like band, some like Project Lead the Way, whatever it may be. But we want you to find your passion.
Welcome to me casa, make yourself at home, do your do. Welcome to my pad, this your lab, go create your move.
This episode is brought to you by Subway. What's good, everybody? It's 99 Miles Per Hour Podcast with me, your host, Percy Garner. And we got a guest today who I've been very excited to get on the show, and they're here today. But before we get into that, I'd like to say thank you to Subway and the Fitzgerald family for making this podcast possible. I know I just saw a deal today. Make sure you guys download the Subway app. You get notifications of the new deals, and I'm not going to miss another week of my free subs. So I got to make sure I get back to that. They got a lot of new subs. And like I said, I'm the best athlete that Subway has commercials for. Over Steph Curry, Tom Brady, and all them. But also, people, I did not lie. We do have new merch up on the website, on the merch site. That is store.percygarner.com. And 2 new shirts, and there's going to be more coming. And I'm excited to see if you guys like the new shirts. And we all know the proceeds go to give a scholarship to a Dover student. So thank you and for participating in that. People, help us out. We weren't able to give out a scholarship in 2022, so let's get one for 2023 and help out a Dover student. And I'm really looking forward to the feedback on the new designs. And without further ado, let's get to our guest. So this person that we have in the studio today is the superintendent of the Buckeye Career Center, and the Buckeye Career Center for me has been like an eye opener, because when I was in school, I don't know if it's still like a thing, but I just kind of looked at Buckeye Career Center is a little different. And I thought the best way forward was to get a normal high school education, until I got more involved and learned more about the Buckeye Career Center. And now I regret not going, but that's neither here nor there. I have the superintendent of the Buckeye Career Center, and also was principal and superintendent at New Philly before Buckeye Career Center. So a lot of educational leadership in the building today. And no further, we'll get Bob Alsept in the show today. How are you?
I'm great, Percy. I'm excited to be here. Happy that you asked me to come on the show.
Well, I appreciate you being here. We've had a lot of interruptions to begin the show, and it's I got to get back on track. But yeah, I've been trying to get you in the office here in the studio here, and just pick your brain on, because obviously you've got a lot of experience in leadership, and of course I love leadership. That's one of the the topics I like talking about on the show. And we just had Mike Lauber in here, but you're in a different capacity of leadership, and not saying what Mike doesn't do is important, but leading the people who lead our kids. Mm-hmm. It's like, especially because I have 2 children that are going to be coming up, and I just look at it in a different way and through a different lens. And not to put pressure on you, which you probably already feel a whole bunch of anyway, especially in today's landscape of education.
It's a different time. There's no question.
It is. And we'll get into, I kind of want to, dive into kind of what being a superintendent means to you, and in this close-knit community that we live in with all your partner schools. We'll get into that. But first, I kind of want to start with, because, we're getting over, are we over it yet? Are we over COVID? Okay. We'll safely say we're over COVID. And obviously these last 2 years have had an impact on everybody. But I think people who aren't in education or aren't students in school right now they kind of overlook the fact of how these students like educational career has been massively impacted, and kind of getting back in the groove. I feel bad for a lot of the students, but you're getting back to some normalcy for the students that are going to be attending Buckeye moving forward. But do you think it's been a huge impact, like especially at your school being a different type of school? Has the time off, has that really impacted the staff and the students there?
It absolutely did. School calendars, we could count on those forever. Maybe you get a snow day thrown in there and everybody cheers. And we've had months of snow days. And all of a sudden, it's just same as you were in high school. That first snow day was great. 2 days in a row. Okay, yeah. That third day, you're like, I want to get back to school.
Yeah.
And I think kids, the students were really ready for normalcy. They couldn't count on much. We went out in March of 2020, and we thought, we'll be out 5 days. Well, we were out the rest of the year.
Yeah.
And you really saw the importance of schools and some structure and how that affects the teachers and the kids, because we really lost a lot online. And for us, what we do, so much of it is hands-on learning, that you can watch all the YouTube videos you want on how to do something, but it is not the same as having it in your hands.
Yeah.
And coming back in 2021, we were on a split schedule all year. Half the students would be there at any given time. And we completely lost any sense of working in a structured environment with other people. And so when we came back this year, we had a normal schedule. Still, masks for us weren't mandatory. They were for some. But you had the distancing, and everybody, do you shake hands? Do you not? What? Yeah. But more than that was the loss of structure. How do you interact with people properly? And we're still seeing that with adults, not just the kids. How do I work in this environment? How do I talk to people respectfully? We lost a lot of that. How do I behave? And it felt like this last 9-week grading period, I felt for us, we were really getting back to normal, where kids are like, yeah, that's right. That's what we've been talking about since I was in kindergarten and preschool. This is how I talk to people. This is how I walk. This is how I do these things.
Yeah.
And it felt like we got back to normal, and we really accomplished a lot. So I'm looking forward to next year. Feel bad for what we lost, but in our world, we were able to get those kids back into the labs, get hands-on, and I feel like we made a move back to normalcy.
Well, that's good. I know, obviously I did a presentation, or I spoke on adversity last year. And, like I said at the beginning of the show, how I originally looked at Buckeye when I was a student in high school, and then now how I look at it, it's like a complete 180. For me, Buckeye is a great resource that I think we're lucky to have in our area. Being rural, it's kind of hard to get a lot of resources like that. But you guys do amazing things. You guys allow your students. So I look at it as you guys give them responsibility, because, everything about your school is pretty much done by the students, and you guys put it back into the curriculum and the programs you guys have. The thing I think is pretty cool is like your social media, the presence, and it's like the students are almost employees at Buckeye Career Center. And you treat them as such. It's not, I saw one of your students was at working for a company, kind of, getting experience, and the company gave them an evaluation, and you guys shared that on your social media. And I was like, that is so cool. But like the big project, I'm kind of curious, what we were talking about before is the Buckeye House project, where, your students are building a home. Can you tell us about that?
I absolutely can. And it's not just our construction trades, but I think that house kind of epitomizes what we do with all of our labs. Those particular groups build a house, but all of them get the responsibility and understand this is what business looks like. And we try to make sure with the house project that our construction trades, our electrical systems, HVAC, masonry, landscaping, energy operations, I'm going to miss somebody, outdoor power equipment, all of them have a hand in that house and a role in it. And we go from digging the foundation, pouring the concrete, everything, just about everything to the roof. And we get a little help with finishing the drywall. I'm trying to think, we get a little help with the finished painting, but our students take that on. They have to work together on the planning. They've been working the last few weeks on getting the yard ready to seed it and finishing some things. But usually there are 4 or 5 different labs that are working on that, and they have to coordinate with each other. They have to, hey, I've got to get this done before the next group can come in and do their part. They get some real life lessons. If they do something and they don't get it done, they slow the whole project down. Now they've learned a little bit more about supply line issues. We've had trouble getting the roofing materials, the garage door, the doors, the windows, but they have worked through it, and we're in great shape right now. Hopefully, October, November of 2022, we'll be putting that house up for auction. But through Buckeye's history, we've probably built 40, I would say at least 40 houses in the Tuscarawas County area.
Wow.
Most of them right across the street. And those students learn not just the skills to build, but the business of it, of, hey, this is the cost of materials, this is the cost of labor. What have I got to sell this house for? Now, we are a little bit different, but we want them to learn. So when they go out on their own, they understand how to cost, how to do estimates, and how to make a living using their skill. And that project is one of the most visible, but we have things like that going on all throughout the school just about every day, where kids are taking some responsibility and learning, this is what I have to do to support myself. And that's what we do. And hopefully then they learn, this is what I support, how I support myself, but this is how I support my community. This is where volunteerism comes in. This is what it really means to be a community and to be a partner in that. And we hope we're teaching them all of those things. And folks like you coming in and talking to them about how important character is and overcoming adversity. So many folks, it's not because they can't get through it, but they stop trying. Something slows them down. They need to hear that every day, every week, every month. And hopefully we do that. But that house project, that is a shining example of what happens when they work together well.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I just realized that I had actually been in one of the houses across the street, and I didn't realize that was that. And that's just pretty neat. And the other thing is obviously me being director of Rainbow Connection.
Right.
I can vouch for the community and giving back and being involved because, your leadership council with the kids there, I've interviewed them, and it is not easy for a high school student to, get in front of a camera and articulate themselves the way they want and, kind of take pride in what they've done, because they raise money for the Rainbow Connection and they do it every year. But obviously I wasn't aware until I became director. And it's just, to me, that's important to know the skill of being involved and the wanting to be involved in the community that you live in. And hopefully they take that into where, the universities or the jobs they get into, because I think I'm just afraid, because, people like yourself, that's just kind of been baked in by, the people, our parents and stuff like that. And I just worry that, it's going to kind of fall by the wayside. But these kids surprise me every day, and I think we're good. I think we're good with our future.
We've got to put that sense of community in them, and we tell them that every day, every interaction is a job interview, because you don't know who it is you're talking to, and if you do it right, And we do. We try to talk about that in our academic classes. We talk about it in our labs. Every kid now that we print business cards for them, they do their resumes, but we do interviewing skills. And those interviewing skills, they cross over, not just for interviewing for a job, but when you're speaking to somebody in the public and you're talking about the importance of volunteerism and raising money and helping the community, we want that to be all part of it because, and Mike Lauber just being here, Mike Lauber is a person who gives back, great community guy. I want him to be excited about when he talks to one of our kids about employment. I want them to talk about those things. And he says, hey, I'm not just getting a good employee, I'm getting a better person, and that's going to make us all successful. So we try to talk about those things daily, but bringing outside speakers, and as I said, that's so important because they know Percy for the Indians, and hearing it from you is so much more important than just, hey, I heard that Bob Alsept. That guy we hear all the time. What's he know? But it's an important part of what we try to do to prepare them for life. Yeah,
so I think that's great, and kudos to the staff and what you guys got going on at the Buckeye Career Center. I just missed the spring open house, unfortunately. I was looking at your calendar and like, dang, I should have went to that, just because I've seen parts of the building, but I want to see more. And I don't know if you saw the video I shot with the leadership group over at Buckeye, but it was kind of comical. I tried to make it light and stuff, because they were selling candy bars, and I tried not to eat as many as possible. They're very convincing, but no, I think that Buckeye House project is pretty awesome. I can't wait to see the finished product. But I want to kind of transition into, now obviously you've been superintendent and in leadership role in education for a long time now. Not to date you, just you've got experience.
Long time. That's a guy. I'll take that. Long time.
Now, for someone like me who kind of just looks, you just know it's a title. What does being a superintendent mean to you? Like, you come to work every day, and is it work? Obviously it is a job for you, but there's a responsibility. There's a lot that goes into it, but just what does it mean to you?
Well, for me, it means that this is the old adage, but the buck stops here at my desk. I take responsibility on anything from, hey, the French fries may have been cold, which they never are. Phyllis, if you're listening, they never are. To, hey, we had a problem in a class, and I don't feel like my child was treated fairly. Anything in between there, I feel the buck stops at that point. Now, I've got a lot of good people in management positions that before those get to me, they handle those day-to-day things, and I don't want to micromanage them. I want to get really good people and then give them the freedom, the leeway to perform at their best in that. So I look at my everyday job as each year we're going to set the goals together of, hey, here's what we need to do this year to move Buckeye Career Center forward. Here's what we need to do for a 5-year period to move Buckeye Career Center forward. And then I've got to work with that team to what are the short-term goals, daily, weekly, monthly, to reach that year goal, that 5-year goal, and then I've got to measure the progress toward that. And when we get off kilter or we start moving in another direction, which COVID did, it moved all of us off of a direction. Hey, how do we get back on here? But there are so many things during the course of a day that my attention span, when I started as a superintendent, I think it was a lot longer, because now I've got about a 5 to 10 minute window, and whatever I'm working on seems to change. But it's 95% of the things that I deal with are directly related to people. So I feel as a leadership position, you better value people.
Yeah.
You better understand that we're all imperfect. You better understand that we're going to have good days and bad days, and get them to understand that, hey, we have to work through those. We have to overcome adversity, but that you value them. You're compassionate. You're strong when you have to be, and and make hard decisions, but they better know that you care about them, and then you're going to get so much more from them coming back, and all of that to me, and I've talked to Dan Ift about this. One of the most important words that I think a leader does, what they do, they establish a culture.
Yeah.
And within that culture is where success comes from. You don't have success without having that culture in place. And it has to come from that point of me caring enough about you that I'm going to give you what you need. And sometimes that may be a pat on the back. Sometimes it may be a swat a little bit lower. But I'm doing that because I care enough about you to get your best. And it's not always pleasant, but I know you can do it. And creating that culture where everybody is demanding and sets the bar high, but then creates ladders to help everyone get over. And the most important thing I do, hire good people and then create that culture to make it happen every day.
That's awesome. I mean, so many times, people hear that word, but you really need to, it's like, and I had Steve Van Horn talking about culture, because I feel like when he was my boss, it just, everything just, I took it for granted, because it was a great culture, and I just thought every place was going to be like this. And there was people that, I had coworkers that left and then came back and was like, nah, it's very important that, it's like a family, and a well-functioning family, and you care for each other, just like you said, and you show that, hey, I care about you and I want you to be better, and everyone should be held accountable, and that produces the best results. So I think it's pretty cool. And I just like sitting and talking to leaders, especially community leaders, because I can't grab everybody and have them come down to the studio and pick their brains. So I appreciate that. But for me, if I'm a student, and because you can only become, because Buckeye, they have adult programs and for high education from junior and seniors in high school.
Junior, senior year.
Now, if I'm trying to prepare, if I'm a freshman, do I need a plan of, okay, I want to do this and I want to eventually attend Buckeye Career Center my junior year? Do you need to set up kind of how you're choosing your classes and stuff like that? Or is this something you can go your sophomore year, like, okay, you know what, I'm going to go to Buckeye next year?
That depends. We do a lot. We're getting into elementary schools to do career exploration activities. Okay. What is it I want to do? What do I want to be? I think that's important, and we try to help our partner schools do some activities so kids can figure that out. We do a career exploration camp for 5th and 6th. We do manufacturing camp. You come visit us as 8th graders. We want you to start narrowing it down. And if you happen to have industrial arts or some of the tech classes you need, family consumer science, hey, I want to be a nurse. Take all the science you can before you get there to us, but have an idea of what it is that you like and what you want to do, because then when you get to us as sophomore visits and that open house, now you start honing down. I know I like mechanics. I know I like welding. I may like exercise science, but you're going to need to narrow it down and take courses in your freshman, sophomore year that will help with that. But your junior, senior year, what we find is they get into those labs, and all of a sudden, maybe I'm the kid that likes auto mechanics. I like taking engines apart. Well, in traditional high school, there are a lot of kids that they may not like that.
Yeah.
They may like football better. They may like being in the band. They may like whatever better. So the kid that likes auto mechanics, all of a sudden he's like, am I strange because I like doing this?
Yeah.
But then they get with us and they're in the lab with 25 other kids who I like taking engines apart, and I like hearing that roar of the engine, and they find out I've got other people who like that. I've got an instructor who likes that, and you can see that light turn on in their eyes, and they are so excited about what they're doing. They're passionate about what they're doing, and they realize I'm not odd at all. And I just like something different. Yeah. Some like football, some like band, some like Project Lead the Way, whatever it may be. But we want you to find your passion, and then we want to help guide you in that direction. So if you've got an idea, that's fine. A lot of times it's just getting in that lab experience and, yeah, this is it. This is the moment for me. And realizing it's going to be a different experience for us. We've got juniors and seniors, more mature. A lot of our kids, they're in sports at their schools. Maybe they're working. They got different interests. A lot of times we'll see steel-toed boots more than the latest pair of Nikes. We got more John Deere hats than Under Armour. But our kids are kids. Yeah. And when they get there and they find their passion, that excitement that they have, that just creates a great atmosphere. And we can give them more freedom because they are a little bit older.
Yeah.
They are moving into where some work during the day. We operate all those labs, a restaurant, a marketplace. We build a house and they walk across the street and they'll operate equipment. So they do get more trust. We have to trust them. But they get a little more freedom with that also.
I never thought of that aspect, the one you just brought up, where, the kid who may not, like what's popular at school, at the high school that they're supposed to attend. And that's a neat perspective, and I think it's very relevant. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad that, like I said, to go back to what I said, I'm glad that we have this resource, having a school that you can, actually get some hands-on experience with, because I think it's pretty amazing, because that's not everywhere. And I know that I had Nate Ames on the podcast, it seems like forever ago, Josh, but he was doing that at the collegiate level at Ohio State. Mm-hmm. And it's similar to what you got going on. There's the kids at Ohio State. They're part of this department that works on manufacturing, engineering, and stuff like that. And they get hands-on experience with companies, mm-hmm. And then those companies kind of just say, you know what, I loved how this kid, worked, and I loved how they interacted with the team that we have already set up. As soon as they graduate, let's
hire them.
Yes. And I'm sure that's kind of how it happens now, especially with the people looking for jobs and employers needing people to work. How's that, working out for students?
It's working great for our students. We've actually got Dover Chemicals coming in to talk to juniors about an apprenticeship program that they're putting together next year. We invite all of our local employers. I tell them, here, come in. I'm going to get you a visitor pass. I'll put a chair. You tell me you want to watch welders. I'm going to get you a chair. You watch those guys interact. You watch them weld. You watch how they take instruction. And then tell me, which ones would you like to talk to about maybe employment, part-time, full-time. And that's been some of the change of the stigma, too. We've opened our doors. We want people to come in and realize, guess what? Buckeye isn't that place that I heard about, certainly when I was in high school. Is that an alternative school for kids who get in trouble? No. It's a school for kids to find their passion. The same as we hope, hey, if you're at Dover High School or New Philly, my passion is science. I love it. I'm going to go to college in this. My passion is engineering. I'm going to go do this. They can find their passion with us. It's just one more avenue. And a kid that finds their passion and loves what they do, they're going to be very valuable to any employer. And we want people to come in and see that. We don't want to hide it. And they'll know, no, that's not an alternative school for kids who get in trouble. That's another school for kids to find their passion and really show off their knowledge. And, hey, left brain, right brain, we all work a little different. But our chance, we've got 33 programs that allow kids to find something a little different than maybe what they had at their home school.
Yeah, and that's awesome. And I looked, and I didn't know all the numbers because I saw there was 98% placement, and 66% of your graduating seniors, which is what, about 400, 500?
405 this year.
A lot of those seniors graduate and have jobs, and I think that's, I'm not one of those. I know when I was growing up, it was, hey, you got to go to college, 4-year college.
Yes.
And I think that's what a lot of people were told and what we believed, but obviously things change and we're starting to see the benefits of having skills already, because even when before I got drafted and I start to kind of look at colleges, and this is 2008, 2009, Yes, it was a terrible time for our market and everything, but people, they started to have that alternate thing when you're looking for a job description. It was always for a bachelor degree in this area or experience, and then they start to like, okay, we would love for someone to just come in and knows how to do the job.
Yes.
And if you can do the job and, obviously come up with character skills that you guys teach at Buckeye, then obviously the employer is definitely interested in taking it on. It's kind of weird. It's kind of look like sports, It
is.
The colleges come in and look, or sometimes professional teams come in and recruit. Now, I think the people in business are doing the same thing, and I think it's a good thing.
You better be able to answer the question, what can you do if I hire you? And I think that has changed. I think parents have looked at, okay, the cost of college, where I'm not really sure what I want to do, but I'm going to pay $25,000 a year to figure it out. Now, my friend Brad Bilski would say, Bob, it's not that much at Kent State Tuscarawas.
Yeah, true.
And he's right. But before you start paying to figure out your way, and everybody say, well, go to college and figure out, hey, there are a lot of great jobs in our area that don't require a degree. And even more so now, when you need a plumber, how long does it take to get somebody?
Yeah.
When you need somebody to do some renovations or remodeling and do some drywall, because those folks are in demand. And you talk about the freedom now of saying, well, I work Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. The more skilled you are, the better you are, the more you can set your own schedule and be your own person. And I think parents looked at that return on investment. Let's see, $25,000 a year, and they graduated and they make $30,000 a year. But my neighbor, he went down to Buckeye. It didn't cost anything. He's got no debt. And right now he's making $65,000 a year as a welder, plumber, HVAC, whatever it is, whatever it is, and doesn't have that debt, and can still say, you know what, I've done this. I do want to go back to college now and do this with this money I've saved, and I'm not going to go in debt. The thinking has changed, and a lot of that is parents, but I think people look at career centers, not just ours, but a lot of them differently. But we've got great partner schools, and that helps us a lot with that. Yeah,
and one more thing I want to add on is I think it's great for students to know they have the opportunity to be their own boss. Obviously, they have the opportunity to get hired by an employer as well. But I think for me, the American dream was to, go to college, get married, have kids, and work a job your whole life, And if I'm not saying that that's terrible, because that's basically what I've done. I don't own any businesses, but just knowing that that's available to me and have the freedom to have ideas to go, you know what? Or people can do that on the side. They have their job, but they also have their own business. And I just think, the work you guys are doing and allowing them to know, okay, have responsibility and the freedoms and learn all those skills. I think it's a great thing. And, if my son or daughter want to do it, I encourage them and say, hey, look, like me, I graduated college last year. Not that you want to wait forever, but you have an opportunity. You don't have to go right when you're 18, so
not at all.
And, I don't want to pay for college anyway. So,
listen, I'm facing that right now, and it's no fun.
Yeah, I bet. And now one thing before we end this, because I think we have to, because you've already answered, because I was going to ask, what is the difference between Buckeye and other schools? And you've obviously, there's no need to ask that now, because it's pretty plain and simple. But no matter whether you're at your partner schools like Dover, Philly, Claymont, Indian Valley, Tusky Valley, your alma mater, correct?
Yes.
Doesn't matter where you're at, the staff and the teachers that are interacting with these students and encouraging them and being a example of what an adult is like, I think it's all very important. But just obviously you being a leader of leaders, and I don't know why I like that term, but I keep saying it. But like you said, you picking great people to lead the children and these juniors and seniors down the right path and showing them, hey, I love this. This is you can make a living doing this. Just explain in your words, from your point of view, being in education as long as you have, just, teachers and the importance of teachers and what they do for our kids.
That in all of this is where the rubber meets the road, in that classroom with that dynamic teacher who has tremendous subject knowledge and loves passing that on to students of whatever age, but especially for us, that's the process right there. My job is to make sure that great teacher has what they need to succeed in the classroom. And their role, they're going to be at our place. Some of our career tech teachers, they're going to be with those students 4 hours a day for 2 years. And their impact is tremendous, not just in the skill, the hard skill, but the soft skill. And getting the right person for each of those labs, that's what makes our program go. That's what sparks the kids to do what they need to do to learn and to be professionals in what they choose to do. That teacher is the most important part of the process. It really is. Now, we talk a lot about at our place, no matter what your role is, whether you're the teacher, whether you're the secretary, whether you're the cook, whether you're the custodian, you have a chance to impact students in a positive way and to make their day special. But there's nobody that has more influence just on the amount of time than that teacher. And I think for us, what makes us a little more special, a little different, is at least half of our staff, those career tech teachers, those are folks who have done something besides teaching all their life.
Okay.
If you're an HVAC teacher, you were out in that field for at least 5 years before you could get a license. If you were in welding, our welding instructors, they worked in factories, they worked in construction, and they know how that part of the world works, and they bring that in with their teaching, and it's a different dynamic. They're like you coming from the outside. Well, Percy said it has to be true. Those folks can say,
Yeah.
I was on the job site. When I tell you why this is important, why safety is important, here's what I've seen. They're not reading about it. They're living it, and they have lived it. And when they bring that in and connect with a kid, that's the beauty of what we do. That's no matter where you're at, that dynamic interaction between teacher and student, that's education.
Love it. Well, usually we do this little fast questions things, but I feel like, the information you provided and, talking about Buckeye and leadership and education, I kind of just want to end on that. There's no need to, figure out what your favorite car is and all that. I got to come up with some new questions. So I'm gonna work on some new questions for the Fast Nine and maybe a real name. But Bob, man, the pleasure, having you come in here it's just been great. And, I'm glad that we were able to nail down a date, and, I plan on being involved in Buckeye as much as I can and working with you, Cheyenne, and other staff to, make an impact where I can. And that's not only because you guys support my organization, but, because of the other stuff that I think, that we've talked about during the show. I mean, Buckeye's a great school. It's a great resource to Tuscarawas County and beyond. And I think it's, I'm just waiting to see the next thing, the next step in education that Buckeye makes. And, I'm going to be watching. So
thank you so much. I believe so much in what we do and how we can directly impact this region. And our kids are great. Invite everybody to come see them in action. You'll be amazed. We've got great young people.
Well, I was going to say follow them on all the social media, because that'll be the easiest way to figure out all the cool stuff that they're doing and all the dynamic students that they have and the staff. So, but next time, I think you guys will. When's your next open house where people can come? Is it going to be right before school?
No, we have 2 open houses a year. It's actually in November, the Thursday of sophomore visit. So we've got a little bit of time before that next. There's an adult ed open house that's coming up. I'm sorry, June 7th. That's for adult ed.
Okay.
The high school open house will be in November.
Okay. Yeah, I get so focused on the youth, I forget that you guys have an adult program.
Right.
But you guys understand. I appreciate you guys listening, and I appreciate you guys, always coming and showing up. If you could, because I always forget to do this at the beginning, if you could like and subscribe, that would be greatly appreciated. And really give Buckeye, a second look if you think because I'm prime example that you don't until you actually go and experience it or have a child that goes there. So follow what they're doing. I'll be putting their social media links in the description, so you can go follow them. And they make great content. Sometimes I feel like the kids are doing some of the content as well. So you learn a lot, and you can learn more about this community and the students and the youth. And instead of those old people saying those darn kids, you'll realize that, hey, our future is bright, and I'm excited to see what our community will be in the future, thanks to people and leaders like Bob. But thank you guys, and we'll catch you next Tuesday. Peace. It feels like Casablanca. Shouting, you my little mama. I got a crib by the water. Say me Casa su casa. It feels like Casablanca. Shouting, you my little mama. She be on that Henny. I like that Corona.